Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us in our latest edition of Haswell's Releases. Here, we showcase our most impactful product updates, and today's session is focused around Sauce AI for test authoring, our latest Sauce AI agent that was just announced last week. So whether you write code every day or have never written a line of code, you're going to walk away with something very valuable. Let's jump into the introductions.
Thank you, Carlos. Hi, everyone. My name is Marija Stupar. I'm the staff product manager here at Sauce Labs. I've been here around 5 years, focusing on different areas, mostly around low code, and I'm super excited to show you the new Sauce AI for test authoring.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. And I am Carlos Carvajal. I am a senior product marketing manager here for Sauce AI Agents. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about what stalls innovation. And you see that 30% stat there. That comes from our own customer research. And some of you may say, well, 30% doesn't seem that big. I kind of could live with that. Well, it's not a small inefficiency. It's nearly 4 months per engineer spent on test maintenance rather than shipping features. And so for non-technical folks, imagine asking your best developers to spend nearly 4 months a year filing paperwork instead of building. That's kind of what's going on here with manual test scripting. And for you engineers in the room, you already feel this. Every UI change triggers a cascade of broken locators, false failures, and script rewrites to pull you away from meaningful work. Now let's double click on what we call the innovation drain. So there are 3 reinforcing problems here. First, the engineering inefficiency, where you have senior developers being pulled away to write test scripts or just babysit brittle code. You have the skills gap, where citizen developers, think product owners, product managers, business analysts, digital marketers, those with deep knowledge of the product, but who do not code, yet they still need to test the applications. These folks are locked out of quality assurance. And then there's the script repair cycle that slows down your entire CI/CD pipeline. The key insight for business stakeholders here is that it's not just a technical inconvenience. Every hour engineers spend in the repair loop is an hour not invested in product innovation, not invested in roadmap delivery, and it's not driving revenue-driving work. And for US stats engineers, the script repair loop is the most painful part you guys are seeing. A UI change triggers a test break, which then triggers an investigation, which triggers a rerun. And the cycle repeats instead of automating new coverage. So there is a new approach, and we have to stop and break this cycle. So the shift here is from writing code to testing code to describing what you want to test and let AI generate it. That's a fundamentally different model that opens up test authoring to every team member. Now, without further ado, I'm going to let Maria do a live demo.
Thank you, Carlos. Let me switch over to our Sauce Labs application and we can show you how this works. So AI for test authoring is a specifically purposefully built AI agent that deals with testing. It is built on top of the Sauce Labs platform, so it inherits all the secure enterprise level features and it embeds them so that you are able to create tests with these and execute them at the same time. Let's see how it works. So if I'm here in test authoring, I can see here a list of test cases that have been previously created. These can be also grouped into test suites, as you can see, and they can run using the existing devices that I have on Sauce Labs. But the main core of the test authoring tool is the option to create test scripts. What this will do is the LLM agent will connect to a device and it will interpret the natural language input to understand what is your end-to-end test goal, what is the intent that it has to fulfill. And in order to do that, it takes any kind of input. It can be structured input such as Gherkin type scripts, or it can be simple sentences. Let me give you an example of this. So if we want to test a simple e-commerce use case, we have our sauce demo application here. And if you're familiar with it, if you have been using it in some of your examples, it's an application that requires you to log in. It then asks you to select a couple of items, add them to the cart, and go through the checkout process. And these are all things that are possible there. So we are going to cover exactly this flow with our test authoring here. So in the prompt, I'm saying log in using credentials of certain username and password, find the backpack and add it to the cart. And then I'm saying verify one item has been added to the cart. Go through the checkout process and verify that the checkout process is successful. So what I'm expecting the tool to do here is to create different assertions in places where needed and generate a set of steps based on just this input that it got. Before I start this, I also want to talk about our setup. The AI for test authoring covers web testing as well as mobile app testing. And if you have a need to create tests for any kind of gated environment, you can utilize the Sauce Connect proxy, and any tunnels that you have are going to be available to you here. When it comes to mobile apps, the applications that you have as part of your uploads as part of Sauce Labs app management, all of them will appear here and they will be readily available for you to test. We do cover iOS as well as Android. So at the moment when I'm starting this process of prompting, the LLM agent is going to interpret my input. And at the same time, we are going to start the live session so that we get a live preview of what the agent is doing. On the left side, we can get the reasoning and the explanations of a certain set of steps that the agent is performing. So the agent will here tell us what elements it is encountering, how it is interacting with them, and what is the final outcome of it. And this is a good logging and debugging resource for you as you build your tests in your sequences. On the right side, you can see the steps that are captured. This is a short digest of the steps, which later will be available to you for further editing. And at the center, of course, you see the streaming of the live session and the rendering of the actions that are being performed by the agent. And in this case, I want to mention that our agent is quite robust. It is able to manipulate the website. So any kind of click, scroll, form entry options are available, as well as more fine-grained options such as switching into a new tab. We also support, and this is something that you are going to see right now, the option to generate the synthetic data on the spot. So the tool is actually using the combination of seeing the visual aspect of the page as well as looking at the page structure in order to understand what is the context of the elements that it is dealing with. And based on this, it can draw conclusions of whether it can overcome those or not. So in this case, here is a simple form. It has the username as well as surname as well as the postal code. So the agent is able to generate this content on the spot because it sees that it did not get this as some kind of necessary input directly from my prompt. So this can be used for very good use cases where you have complex forms or a big number of forms where the input can be more free. If you have, of course, some structured and existing test data, you should pass it along. Here we see one of the last steps in the process. The agent was able to get to the end of our checkout flow, and by asserting basically that it has done this last step, it will conclude that it is done with fulfilling our test intent, and it will close the session. In this case, what we are going to get in just a moment is the whole list of the test steps that are being captured. And these test steps, as you can see here, can be viewed and reviewed. We can edit them, we can change or remove some assertions, or even we could change the element locators if we see that they're needed. The steps themselves consist of the natural language description, the parameters used in order to manipulate the element, as well as the screenshot of the page at the moment when an interaction is done. So I can now go ahead and save this test case. I don't see anything that I would need to necessarily edit. And I'm going to say demo. Checkout, and we can add this into one of the existing test suites, the checkout flow, and this will save my test session. In this case, I'm now able to run the test and execute it multiple times. Before I do this, though, I want to mention one other thing. What you've seen now is obviously the case of us automating the end-to-end flow through the prompt. If I want to go and edit something, for example, alongside the backpack, I want to add a bike light, I would be able to edit it through the prompts. And this is the chat-like experience which continues until you're happy with the result. And this is a good starting point. And if you are non-technical, you don't have to care about what happens under the hub. But if you already have some existing test cases and you want to have the test steps that are captured translated into the code, we do provide this option by clicking here on the code tab. And what this allows you to do is to select a preferred language to generate the test code for the steps that are captured for you. This is an on-demand step, and what it results with is the option to view the test steps as well as the source configuration. What I also want to mention is we do provide the option to choose the language. As you've seen, we have Java, Python, JavaScript. We are looking to expand those as we go further. Alongside the test steps, you can see here that we have these different steps as well as the assertion added. We do also have the source configurations, the capabilities, and this is something that you can find helpful if you want to start your automation, but also if you just download this test script, if you copy it over and add this into your working environment, it should run out of the box. So this is the way how we are trying to help you with any starting automation points. I'd like to highlight here in terms of the code coverage right now, we have the Appium and Selenium scripts. Native frameworks are something that we are actively working on right now. So coming back to the low-code automation aspect that comes bundled as part of the test authoring. Once you're happy with your test script and you save it, it will appear in this list of test cases. And at this point, you can decide to run it. When you run the test case, you have the option to choose multiple OS and device or browser options. And as you can see me here, I'm going to select Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge on both Windows 10 and Windows 11. And at the moment when we click to run the tests, what is actually happening is the existing concurrency that I have for my Sauce Labs account is going to be utilized to execute these tests at scale. And this converts my author test scripts into a set of test sessions, which then are available for your viewing inside the automated test results. So any tests that you decide to run inside the Sauce Labs cloud by using test authoring and the run option from there, they end up being automated tests. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how fast you can automate something from entering the natural language prompt of your test intent, saving this, as well as automating it to run across multiple device options.
Yes, Maria, I think what you showed is very, very powerful. As I mentioned previously, a citizen developer, someone who doesn't know how to code, can create their own test while giving engineers full code ownership with that. So that's very powerful. Now, you mentioned test suites. Can you walk us through that in a little bit?
Certainly. Yeah, so we do acknowledge that you might want to organize your tests in a certain way, and this should not be a flat hierarchy, right? So for this reason, we have implemented the test suites. They help you to organize test cases into multiple test suites, and then these test suites can be actually automated at scale as well, not just a single test case. So you basically have the option here to automate your entire suite based on some test matrix that you are supposed to follow. So in our example, we did have the checkout flow test suite. If you remember, I saved my backpack test here. And what you can see is that I have some other test cases here. If I go into any other test case here, I can see that there are different configurations used for any of these tests. We have a mobile example here. We have another web example here. And what I want to highlight here is that inside the test suite, you can have different test cases which pertain to different applications. Even if that is your use case, this Sauce Labs platform will handle the rest in terms of how these are going to be executed for you. And I can show this by having us run the entire suite here. In this case, when I click to run the test suite, we are going to actually inherit the configurations from the test cases themselves, and these are going to run at scale. So in this case, by hitting run suite, I'm going to actually trigger 17 test sessions. So as you can see, this is now getting active, and some of these tests might wait for some time.
Maria, sorry to interrupt. I was wondering, can you show us what type of data is available from the test? Do we get screenshots?
Yes.
Metadata? Yeah.
Yes. So for example, the output from the test result is the same as you would get from any other type of test automation on Sauce Labs. So you will have test commands available to understand what actions were performed based on your step. You will also have a video output as well as the screenshots. These are obviously also linked to the test steps, as well as the logs for the device, Selenium log, etc. So all the artifacts that you are readily getting from Sauce Labs, they are embedded here. This doesn't stop here though. If you noticed also at the part of us running either a test suite or even a test case, what is happening is that we have the option to assign a test build. In this case, with the test build, it means that we have a closer connection of what are the things that we're running together. So if I go into the test build, I can also see how my tests were grouped and how they ran together. So this also helps to understand what exactly happened. Obviously, my mobile test failed, so I would need to check why. And this is something that brings me to another point, which is once you run your tests like this, they also end up as part of your reports in Insights, and they are visible as well on the dashboard inside Sauce Labs Home. And if you need any answers as to why something happened, you can use the Sauce AI for Insights agent to help. But that's probably a topic for some other webinar.
You read my mind. I was going to ask how Insights ties into authoring, so that's great.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you also mentioned scheduling. Can you walk us through that?
Yes, I was just going to click that. What I also want to mention is the options to fetch and to manage test cases and test suites is going to be readily available through our API. So this can allow you the option to, for example, create tests using test authoring, store them here, and then fetch them and add them as runs in your pipeline. So that is something that already is possible today. If, however, you don't have the knowledge of how you would like to set up any kind of scheduled runs, we got you covered. So the scheduling option as part of test authoring, it comes embedded inside it, and it allows you to create a scheduled run by simply selecting any test suite that you have previously created, and also to state when and how often you want it to run. So it's very easy to set it up. If I go back and I can show you one of the previous runs that I've made for my flight booking test suite. So you can see that this is paused right now. If I go in, this is because this scheduled run was set to have 5 iterations. So hopefully this helps you to get a general understanding of how you can use the AI agent in order to generate test cases, but also to have them run at scale.
This is great, Marija. I think folks are going to find the solution very powerful in terms of what kind of outcomes we could deliver. Let's talk about those outcomes. Reclaiming engineering capacity, scale without complexity, and unlocking team potential. So these map directly to the 3 problems we saw in the innovation drain slide. And so for business stakeholders, your reclaiming engineering capacity means senior engineers, your top people, they stop being firefighters and start shipping features again. And that's a measurable ROI. For technical teams, scale without complexity, as Marija showed, she was able to run those tests in, I think she said 17 different devices, right? That's a promise that as your app and test suite grow, Sauce AI handles the environment coverage and maintenance overhead. So your pipeline stays fast without adding any type of tooling sprawl. So now we are moving on to the Q&A.
Let me see. So the first question is there an API for retrieving the test cases? Is it only possible to manually download right now? Actually, we are right now in the process of releasing the API documentation. The API is available. By that, we are right now encapsulating our endpoints that deal with retrieving artifacts from the storage, like screenshots, and then getting the management of test cases, test suites, and schedules. And you can, of course, pair these together with existing endpoints that we have for our test runs, so that you can get a complete picture for your reporting. So all of this is going to be available very, very soon, hopefully today. And then as our next phase, we are getting a lot of questions regarding how to closely integrate test authoring, because not everyone wants to have this experience on the platform itself. So for this, we are developing a strategy to also add our endpoints as part of MCP tools that will enable you to really use the components of test authoring solution that feel right for you in your own existing workflows. So hopefully this gives you enough ideas of how you could optimize this and use the test authoring agent as well as the artifacts you create with it in your existing pipelines. So for example, let me give you an example. We have endpoints right now for executing tests and executing test suites. So you could, for example, create authored test cases. You can organize them here on Sauce Labs Cloud, and then through the endpoint, you can add it into your existing pipeline so that it gets triggered in your own way through GitHub Actions or similar. You don't have to use our scheduler, for example. So this would be a good use case that already is possible. I hope this gives you a great question. I would suggest to check our documentation these days. Yeah, so I think we have another question also from Mark. Can we import existing test cases? So yes, Sauce Labs is enabling the customers to be able to import their test cases and convert them into these intelligence scripts. Right now, you can also do this manually by just copy pasting some structured input that you have from, for example, Jira, X-Ray, Zephyr, tools like that. But we also, as Sauce Labs, we can help you to get this set up in bulk with our professional services. So this is something definitely that is possible. Our roadmap plans for midterm include providing, from the product perspective, a nicer import option for a set of tools. So yeah. Okay, and then a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Let's see. How to maintain the code on test cases if auto-healing is not there? Great question. This is actually something that is on our roadmap as well. As you've seen with our tool, primarily we are saying that we are framework agnostic platform here, because the key for generation here and for the iterations is the test intent itself. However, when you execute tests, if there are some changes occurring, we are able to see what the difference is between different runs and highlight this to you. And this is the reason why we also took the approach of having the element identifiers as part of our system. Currently, as you've seen, we have the CSS and XPath support. We are looking into ways to have a more robust system for describing a certain element on the page so that it can be identified from different ways. So even if your layout changes, even if the certain attributes of the element change, it should still be identifiable. And in this way, we are going to be able to show you what the differences are and to have you review this. So self-healing is something that is coming.
There is a question on if it's an add-on option or if it comes standard. So test authoring is an add-on option and it's available right now. It's already GA'd.
Which one? Wait.
Is there an impact analysis based on previous and new executions based on requirement change?
I would like to understand more behind this. I don't know if we can get Pratik maybe to explain the use case here, but in terms of the impact analysis, this would be in terms of how much change happened between the test executions. Is this what you're referring to? Maybe if you could write into the chat.
Yep, that's what
yeah, so I believe that different kind of analysis are possible from our AI insights side. With the impact analysis itself, I don't believe we have this kind of report right now. But our product team is looking into ways how to make the insights more robust. Yeah. Okay. I think there's another one from Mark. Can you walk through how uploading, for instance, the uploaded IPA build could automatically trigger a test suite? This would require you to connect through multiple endpoints that we have. In our API documentation, we also provide some of the endpoints for app management, which is what you would need in order to pass the IPA into our app management on Sauce Labs, and then at this moment to trigger the test suite to run. So it might be a setup on your side. I believe it is fully possible with our setup that we have right now. The thing with the mobile app builds is, and this is true for automation on Sauce Labs in general, as well as for test authoring or live testing, the builds need to be uploaded in our app management. So that's the event that needs to happen. So for a Selenium, Cucumber, and TestNG framework with over thousands of scenarios, how feasible is it to transform the testing framework into this AI-based system? So the question is what your goal is. So with AI for test authoring, we are trying to actually shift the paradigm to have intelligent test automation at the forefront. It's not really about migrating. So with test authoring, as you've seen, we have a lightweight approach to organizing test suites and to scheduling. We don't really provide a full set of options for test management. So for this, what this might be is uploading at scale is definitely feasible. And with the integrations, you would have a bidirectional communication to understand when the test was triggered to run, how did it self-heal, and then in the end, this ends up in your test management tool for the reporting purposes. In terms of the framework support, I also want to touch on this, right? You said Selenium, Cucumber, TestNG. With our demo right now, we have shown you the core 3 languages that are quite stable right now. We are also actively working on expanding the framework support. So TestNG also will come. Our immediate actions to expand the coverage and to provide also people with better options to generate code include the Playwright, also native mobile framework. So XUI for Swift is going to be there, as well as the Appium already is there. The Espresso for Android will be included, as well as different kinds of languages. If you might need TypeScript, for example, or VDI5 support, this is something that we are launching.
Yeah, one from Prasant. There's a 3-part question here. If a test needs to be fed with a dedicated test data, how is it handled?
If a test, okay, I see the question. So with the test data, as you've seen in my example, you can pass it along with the prompt. And what we are also having on our roadmap for the near term is the option to provide a set of variables to provide a secure way to pass any kind of data that you might want to have for your test cases, as well as the connections to any kind of existing databases or APIs where you have your own test data already. So this was not shown as part of this demo, but we are working on this. Okay, and then what is the framework that the tests are being built on? It's up to you, right? So as I said, with the framework support, you can export it to whatever you want. And in terms of how this runs when you execute it on Sauce Labs, it's Appium or Selenium, depending on is it mobile or web application, and it's wrapped in WebDriver IO. And then does Sauce AI have the capabilities to pull data from external sources? This is what I mentioned before. This is on our roadmap. Yeah.
There's one that came in from George. Does the agent gather context from all the prompts? How can we avoid discrepancies between automated test cases?
So the context is kept within one test case session, and you can follow up on this. And when you want to change something, the system will present to you the updated test intent that will include a combination of the older stuff that you had plus the new stuff to confirm that the intended new flow to regenerate is the appropriate one as you intended it to be. So that is how this works. What else? Do we have more questions? Do you see, Carlos? I do see one question. So if the automated test code is generated and it's hard to maintain in the long run, any best practices how AI generated can be self-sustainable? As I mentioned before, with the self-healing concept, this is our plan to give you the tools to manage in an easier way any kind of changes that are coming. But at the core, as you've seen, the test authoring is really intent-based. So the steps captured can be recaptured again by achieving this ultimate goal. So it's not about fixing test steps one by one when something happens.
There's one follow-up from Mark and the Q&A.
So we currently do automatically upload both IPA and APK files. If I understand correctly, we would have to add an additional API call on our side after that to execute the desired test suites, as opposed to that upload automatically triggering it on your side. So not quite. So when you select the app builds in order to generate test cases for in test authoring, we are pulling based on the file name. So if you assume that your versions are going to change, but your file name for the mobile application stays the same, the test case is actually automatically going to assume that your latest application build is going to be taken for the test execution as part of automation capability. So that is a way to always keep things consistent, keep them latest. If you change the ways how you name your files, this might require a manual change in the test cases, in which we will then let you know on the UI that it needs your attention, basically. So hopefully this provides a bit more background in terms of how the connection of app management and authoring works. Yes, so the Ever test authoring as well as AI for test insights are part of our agentic offering. It's catered to enterprise plans, and it comes as an extra add-on. So it's not directly available for you as an enterprise user. However, what we are doing right now is you can reach out to your sales representative and have a trial for it. So that definitely is possible to see how it can cater to your needs, to understand what is the value in it for you and your workflows.
Yep. Again, just for any like sales motion related activity, just reach out to your account representative, and they'll be more than happy to engage. So again, if you guys want a personalized demonstration, please reach out to your account rep. Make sure you engage with those folks over there, or just visit our website, it's saucelabs.com, and then you can register for a demonstration there. All right, nothing else. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Marija. Great session.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.